Hello, I'm Emily Atlantis Wolf, and this talk is called Fill in the Blanks: How to Use Neuroscience and Intuition to Create a Lasting Memory. We're going to be using the metaphor of a box because you're going to create this gift, this memory for yourself. Neuroscientists agree that the amygdala, about the size of an almond, located here in your brain, is responsible for holding the memories of the things that scared you, that frightened you. And biologically, you can think of that's the place where if a saber-toothed tiger jumped out at you, assuming that you, of course, survived being chased and not eaten by the tiger, that you would remember where that happened, what day, when, all the circumstances would be there in your amygdala because your survival depended on it. Fast forward, you can remember if your cousin, friend, or brother jumped out at you when you were a little kid, and it's stored in the same place. The scary things, the things that frighten us, that traumatize us, that happen in quick motion, are stored in the amygdala. And next to it is the hippocampus. Think hippocampus, long word, kind of L-shaped. It's like the size of a string bean, and it comes back in your brain, both sides. That's where long-term memories are stored. So the stories that would have been told around a fire, like the stories that are told around holiday dinner tables, that's where the long-term memories are stored. In the front of your brain is the prefrontal cortex, and that's where the fragments, the details, are stored. It's about the size of your hand, so if you take your hand and you put it up to your forehead, that's just about how big your prefrontal cortex is, and all of it has all the bits, the details to the stories. So imagine one thing that you want to remember. Because you could do this on purpose. The amygdala is there for safety, but you can put things into your long-term memory and store them on purpose. So pick a memory, and you're going to need a journal or something to write with, and the commitment that you're going to think about this memory after we craft it, create it, make it a special way. You're going to revisit this once every night or morning or day sometime for 10 weeks. That's putting down myelin. That's putting down a protein to go and get all the details and bring them back over and over and over. If you do this for 10 weeks, it'll stick. That could even be having a real box next to you to hold space for remembering. Just by putting your hand on the box, you remember the memory. It comes back to you. If you can accept that as your homework for 10 weeks, you got this. So think of something, and I'll give you an example. We'll walk through it together. I'm going to remember being on the beach in Magens Bay in St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands in the Caribbean. I like to go there in April. It's a wonderful time to get out of Cleveland, Ohio, and all the gray weather and go somewhere with sunshine, lots of vitamin D, and swimming in the ocean. So to start with, get out your journal or your piece of paper and write down 5 things that you see, obviously using your imagination. That's building one side of the box. So if I'm standing there, I see the line of the horizon. I see the beginning of the rays of sun. I like to go when the sun is coming up. So I'm there at 5:30 in the morning before the sun has come up over the horizon. I can see the rays coming out. I can see the darkness slowly turning to the light. I can see the small waves. It's a deep water bay, very, very deep and long, so the waves are very small. I can see the water. I can see the foam on the water. I can see the sea turtles poking their head above the water to catch air and then go back down. I can see the seagulls. I can see the pelicans if they're migrating. I can see the sand and the water where it comes together, how it goes from wet to dry. I can see the sand castles that were built the day before. Very visual. We're very visual animals, so seeing is the easiest thing to start with. After that, move to hearing. Now that you wrote down what you see, write down what you hear. At least 5 things. And that could be what you hear and you don't hear. I hear the birds. I hear the geckos. I hear the little insects that sound like 2 pieces of wood clicking together. I can hear the water as it crashes down, because there's part of it that's deeper than another. It's more of a V, so there'll be small waves, bigger waves. I don't hear very many people, so noticing what you don't hear is also important. I don't hear conversation very much. There's not a lot of people up at that time of the day. I might hear the wind, and I might hear another car, but it's not very much. So after you have your 5 or more details, move on to what you taste. What can you taste in your mouth? And you may say, nothing. There's nothing in my mouth. Okay, that's true. But is there a little hint of the taste of morning coffee or morning tea or morning chaga? Do you have bad breath because you forgot to brush your teeth? Is there the taste of the salt water? When I'm there, everything always tastes better because there's salt in the air. The salt water coats my tongue and it coats my mouth. Everything to me tastes better. Not just salty, but sea salty. All the extra minerals are in there. So I feel like I can always taste a little bit of the ocean when I'm down there in the Caribbean. So now, see, hear, taste. What do you feel? I associate the feeling of sand because I take off my shoes right away so I can put my feet in the sand. Your feet have over 7,000 nerve endings, and there's a relationship between every part of your body and the bottom of your feet, which is what the reflexology modality is based on. So by putting your feet on the sand or on rock or any part of the earth, you can feel more and different things than just having them in shoes. I feel the sand and I feel my body relax. The skin between my shoulder blades drops. Everything feels like it's dropping into my feet and through my feet and through the sand. I'm that person who will take 3 steps into the water and then dive in. I like to feel the water all around my body. I like to feel the difference between the sand that's on the beach and the sand that's right inside the water. I like to feel surrounded. So when you have all of those details, the last one is smell. Smell, what's called the olfactory sense. Your sniffer is the olfactory. The olfactory opens the senses, opens the box. It's the closest one to the amygdala. The smell comes right up. So it's the shortest nerve going right into your brain. That's why when you smell things, there's an immediate response. If somebody is burning dinner, immediately you have a reaction. If you smell perfume that you like, you have an immediate reaction. Smell unlocks our memory faster than any other sense. So as you're building your memory, think about what you smell. Do you smell the smoke of a fire? Do you smell your dog? Do you smell something cooking? When I am there, standing on the beach, I feel like I can smell the entire ocean. It's not a fishy smell. It is not a brackish, swampy smell. To me, it smells fresh. The island is very thin relative to bigger land masses like North America, and therefore it's mostly air. Everything feels so fresh. The windows are often open. There's lots and lots of shops and restaurants that don't even have windows. They just have curtains that get folded down when it rains. I feel like I can smell the freshness of that salt water for miles and miles around. It's clean. I associate it with being clean. So after you've constructed your box of memory, you've put all the details around it to create something solid, and you opened it with smell, it's time to put in one detail. So imagine that this beautiful piece of paper is one detail. And you want to imagine that you're wrapping up this detail. So something that is not sensory. You've already used the box to create all the sensations. You'll remember it. But now use your intuition. What do you want to put in the box? What detail do you want to remember more than anything? When I'm standing on the beach, every single time, every time I'm at the beach, not the first time, but every time, I remember that I'm there instead of being in a corporate job. I left a corporate job to become an entrepreneur over 15 years ago under many circumstances. But what I always remember, I always want to appreciate forever and ever, is that I get to stand there in the Caribbean, and I get to be there for 2 or 3 weeks without asking a boss, without having to check my email during the day, without having to feel I'm in 2 places at the same time. I can shut down my business for 2 weeks. I can prepare for 2 weeks of just being off of email and technology and being with the island and living in that island life where everything slows down. And I always remember the sensation of being put into a very small box when I was working a corporate job, and how I feel the opposite. Instead of feeling small, I feel expanded. And that's what I want to remember. So now that you have your box and you have your one detail that you're going to put your hand on and remember for the next 10 weeks, take a ribbon, metaphorically, and imagine what emotion are you going to wrap around it. An emotion is what will give you the charge, the dopamine, the chemistry. So pick an emotion that you associate with that detail. It could be bliss, it could be happiness, it could be joy, it could be anything. It's what lights you up. What lights you up, what makes you smile, what makes you say, I want to remember feeling like this for the rest of my life. And use that to wrap around your present, your memory. For me, it's peace. I feel at peace. And when I am laying in the ocean and I can't distinguish between the edge of my skin and the ocean water, when I feel that I have dissolved and become the ocean, I am at peace. It is a peace of stillness that I don't have anywhere else but there. And I work hard to remember and saturate myself with that feeling. So now that you have your emotion and you have your detail and all your senses, you put your box and you put it next to you, somewhere where you can see it every day, and just touch it. Remember what you want to remember, that precious detail inside, every day for 10 weeks. We put down a protein called myelin. It's like a highway. If you've ever seen a path in the forest that's walked again and again and again, that's what myelin does. Myelin is laid down every time you remember something. So you go, you touch it, you remember it, you lay that pathway down every day, just a second. And after 10 weeks, guaranteed, you now have a memory that will stay with you. You now hold in your hands the power to remember and the power to forget. You choose what you want to remember, and you choose what you want to forget. Thank you for listening.